mean, they muted the whole time. Yeah, that live is making muted, so we can lower that. Have we heard from Chris Costello? Is he going to join too, Dustin?
He said he was, but I haven't heard from him this morning. Let me send him a text.
I'll do the same for Ron Stone, Destin.
Ron has joined he signed in the wrong way.
There it is. Okay,
Yeah.
we got him now.
I'm here.
Thank you, Ron.
Ron's there.
It was not easy, but I'm here.
What wasn't easy, getting up or getting on the computer?
I was up at 5:15. I was up at 5:15, but
I'm just teasing you.
So far, Ron, you've been breaking up quite a bit, but maybe it'll stabilize.
I think I'm good. Thank you. You're welcome. Just follow our team. Okay. Have a good night.
Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning.
Morning, Stephen.
Good to have you on board. We now have a quorum. We've got Ron Stone, Stephen, myself as far as directors, obviously Destin, Michelle, and Ward is on board. So few things up. What I'd like to do at this time is call to order the meeting of the Board of Directors of the Bishop Area Wastewater Authority this Tuesday, October 20th. The time is 8:06. This meeting is being conducted via Zoom and being broadcast live for the public to join in. At this time, I'd like to go to agenda item 2, and we'll, Ron Stone, would you please lead the allegiance? Ron, you'll have to unmute.
You're muted, Ron.
Ron, you're going to have to unmute. Okay, Ron is kind of out of the loop here. I'll go ahead and lead the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll kind of just keep moving along. So at this point, please face the nearest flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time, Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Board Member Stone is present. Vice Chairman Mojave,
I'm here.
Chairman Pachuki,
Here.
and Board Member Costello is absent.
This time we have on the agenda an opportunity for public comment, and this would be via Zoom. Michelle, do you know if any members of the public have joined in or have submitted any written comments?
I have one attendee that does not have a name. I just have a cell phone number. And he's called in as a listener.
Is there any way that individual can or should identify themselves so that we can communicate with them?
I can allow them to talk if you would like.
Ward, what is the protocol on that?
Well, they're not required to identify themselves, but if they want to, they're certainly welcome to.
Okay, that's fine. All right, then at this time, we have the consent calendar. And, as we all know, it's rather, our packet for this meeting was rather lengthy and a number of items to be considered. 5 items under the consent calendar. As per Ward's advice on how to do this in a streamlined fashion, but still comply. Are there any comments, questions, or is there any discussion with regard to any of the 5 items under the consent calendar?
President Pachuki, I wanted to just mention last night that Jennifer had found a mistake in one of the policies that I wanted to just verbally correct before we take a vote this morning. And that's in the one which are the bylaws and policy manual under policy 5.3, where we're talking about director compensation. We had used the Eastern Sierra Community Service District policy manual as a template. And unfortunately, there's still a reference to a district ordinance in 5.3. So I'd like to change that verbally here on record so that instead of referring to the ordinance, that it would refer to the BAWA Joint Powers Agreement. So 5.3 would now read, directors shall each receive a monthly director's fee in accordance with the Joint Powers Agreement, section 2.2.3, because that deals with directors' compensation. Section 2.2.3 of the Joint Powers Agreement basically says that BAWA is not going to be paying the director's compensation, but that's going to be left up to the member agencies.
Exactly. Good catch on that, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Ward.
Those are my comments.
Okay.
Thank you for catching that, Jennifer.
Stephen, did you have any comments?
I mean, a lot of it is very boilerplate. And
Yeah.
so I am, I mean, I did go through a lot of it. If the attorneys think that it's worded properly and that that's what we need to actually have the full incorporating the authority running, then I don't really see many issues with it or see any issues with it.
I would echo that those comments exactly, because these are government codes. They are what they are, and we'll adopt them accordingly. I don't know if we've lost Ron or Ron Stone or not, but I don't see him on the board here.
I think we've lost him. So I'll watch to see if he comes back in as an attendee, and then I'll make him a panelist.
Okay, thank you. I texted him to unmute, but I have a hunch that he's just having technical issues.
But does that mean we no longer have a quorum?
That's
Yes.
what it means, Stephen. let me text him again. All right, I don't know if the text will rouse him or not. We're kind of stuck right now, I would say. Without a quorum, there's not much we could actually accomplish. Ron is texting back. Let's see what the issue is here. Says he's trying, and I don't know what the what his connection issue is. Justin, you didn't happen to hear back from Chris yet, have you?
No, I'm just looking. I did figure out who 9070 was. That's a district mobile phone. I just thought it sounded familiar, so it must be Steve. And I'm not a word back from Chris.
Okay.
Maybe his alarm clock didn't go off again.
Yeah.
Got one other option for Ron. I'll bet I'm going to call Jeff Brown, and if he isn't working this morning, Jeff can fill in for Ron because he's our standby.
Russ is
Who's our alternate? Is it Laura?
Good question. I don't even know if we appointed one yet.
I thought we had two.
Two members, but I'm not sure that we have an alternate appointed.
Well, we should take
Jim,
care of that.
Jim,
Yep.
did you say that Russ was also an alternate?
Yes.
yes. Sorry, Michelle.
I will. I'll try.
Correct.
First.
We sent meeting invites out to all of them too, as well. Russ, Jeff. I think there was a number of them.
Chris is out of town till Thursday. I don't know if he was planning to join, even though he was gone.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. I don't know what your status is this morning, and sorry to interrupt early in the morning, but we have some issues with our BAWA meeting in which Ron Stone, due to technical issues, is not able to join. We no longer have a quorum. We have a lot of material to cover. I didn't know if you could carve out even 15 minutes to work with us. It's already started. Yeah, I understand. Are you at work now? You are. Okay, let me try Russ Adams, see what we could do, but this is not a good situation, so we got to get somebody to fill in. Okay? All right, I'll try Russ. Thanks. Jeff is at Dwayne's doing his job behind the pharmacy counter, so not a good time to catch him. I'll try Russ Adams. We might be able to catch Russ. It's early enough. Good morning, Russ. I know it's early.
I saw him back on.
Hang on just a second. The reason for this call may have just been kind of worked out. We had some technical issues with Ron Stone here at the BAWA meeting and lost our quorum because we lost him. We've got a lot going on that I was going to ask if you could maybe fill in for 15, 20 minutes.
He's back on, Walt.
So we'll
Oh, there he is.
we'll leave that question up in the air. Are you able to, if Ron can't stay with the meeting, are you able to fill in for a period of time?
Walt, he's back on.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you what, Russ, I'll get back with you, okay? Thanks, bye. Ron, do you think your connection is stable now? Ron, are you able to hear us? Ron Stone.
He's connecting right now to audio, it said.
Yeah,
Trying.
it's going in and out.
Does anybody know if he's on a computer or if on a phone?
I believe it's on a phone because his computer isn't stable and now he's muted. Ron, you're muted. If you would unmute, please.
He is unmuted, but is he speaking?
Ron, we've got some issues here and we don't have a quorum because of it.
Wow.
Well, was Russ able to join if we need him?
He started asking questions about all kinds of stuff and I didn't have time to go down that trail. So I believe we can get a little bit of his time if he just understands what's going on. You know, it's early in the morning and it blindsided him.
Okay.
But I think I have to get back with Russ.
Okay, so Ron has left.
Hey Russ, I had to cut off there. Little bit of background real quick. I'm in the middle of a Zoom meeting, the BAWA meeting. We're online live. Ron Stone has technical issues with the connection that he has. We don't have a quorum because of that. And we do have some materials to work on this morning. So my question to you is, are you able to carve out a few minutes to work with us or not? Okay, that would be more than enough time. But I just had some thoughts about this. We've got Ward Simmons on the Zoom conference here. Ward, we have our alternate, Russ Adams, available to participate. I'm not sure that Russ has had an opportunity to review everything in detail that would be up for approval in the agenda. So where does that take us?
Well, I guess I'd have to just defer to his conscience if he feels, you know, if he doesn't feel like he has enough background to vote in an informed way, then if he doesn't feel comfortable doing that, I don't feel, you know, it's really up to him whether or not he feels comfortable enough to proceed based on his knowledge of what we're doing this morning. So I'll have to defer to him.
Russ, were you able to hear any of that? Okay, so the point is, my assumption is that you have not had an opportunity to review these items in detail. and the authority's attorney, Ward Simmons, who you know from Best and Krieger, his advice is it would be up to you if you feel
Walt can just tell him to be comfortable with it.
or if you feel comfortable with participating and representing as an alternate, being an alternate board member to go through the consent calendar with us. It's, well, and that's something hopefully that Michelle could, are you anywhere near a computer, Russ? Oh, okay. I think we're dead in the water then. I appreciate you trying to carve out the time, but I think we'd have to send you the login information and so forth. And if you're not near a computer, then until you got to work or whatever, you couldn't really get in. All right, let me chat with everybody here. Don't go away, Russ. We'll just chat with everybody and in this conference call and see where we go. So I think you all heard it that Russ is not near a computer, so he wouldn't be able to log in. He would need all the information for the Zoom call.
I just re-emailed it, sent it to him.
To Russ
To
Adams?
him. I just forwarded it to him again. He would just have to take the few minutes to, go back and forth. Or we could try to text him the phone number. I mean, it'd probably just take him a few minutes to joggle back.
You might have to do that, Michelle, because Russ, you don't even have a computer anywhere close.
There's the call-in number.
He can call in and then he can put the the ID numbers in. We can give him all that. If he can write it down, might be easier.
So Russ, you have an iPad handy? Russ is checking to see if his iPad is handy. He just stepped out of the shower. We don't want to put him on the video part. Okay, so you don't, the only thing we could do is Michelle could text you the login information where you could join us via phone. Would that work for you, Russ? Okay. And then by joining us via phone, I think maybe you can keep this meeting alive for us, and we would appreciate that. But we should be able to wrap it up sooner than that. Michelle, could you text the information to us?
Can you email me his phone number?
Or just tell it to me and I'll do it right now, or Michelle can.
I'll tell it to you. Russ, quickly, what is your phone number? 760-920-4211. Okay, and Michelle.
4291?
4211.
11.
There you go.
You got it, Dustin?
I got his number. I'm going to text it to you right now, Michelle, because I just thought about it. How do you have the link right there, or the call-in number?
Yeah, I have everything up.
If you just tell me the call-in number, I'll send it to him real quick.
Okay, ready? Call-in number 16 and then 669.
Okay.
900
900
9128.
9128.
And then the ID number is 849.
849. Hold on. 849. Okay.
1205.
1205.
6933.
6933. Okay, I'll send it to him right now.
And then the pound sign, he needs the pound sign after that, Michelle?
I believe, and it will say that. I believe so.
Okay, good enough. Russ, Destin is texting you all of the phone login information. And then once you get that, you'll be able to join us via audio. And just keep yourself unmuted. And then we'll move on to the consent calendar that we were just opening up. Ron, lost Ron.
You should have it. I already texted it.
It should be at your phone, Russ. So I'll cut off here so you can open up the other
Or
Ron on there.
maybe make sure you got it, Walt.
Yeah, and if for some reason it doesn't show up on your phone, you can text me back. You've got my number. Just let me know or call me or whatever. Okay. Yeah, just when you get that information, you'll have you'll be able to use the number to join the meeting and then an ID that gets you in. And it's all there. Thanks. Bye. Okay. Hopefully it's going to show up on his end and we'll be ready to go.
Good work, Walt.
Well, thanks to having alternates. Two of them, because it took.
Yeah, we'll put that on the agenda and get that taken care of. Chris is, I'm almost sure he's at his cabin closing it up for the winter and doesn't have cell service.
Stephen, do you have another meeting to get to following this? In other words, are you on a constrained time schedule?
Today I'm not so much. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, this is Ron. I got a text from Ron that says he's going to your place. So I texted him back and let him know that you were getting Russ on, but I haven't heard back. So he might be on his way. You might get a knock on your door.
All right. Thanks, Jen. I appreciate that. Also, it shows up on the bottom of my screen. There's one chat on there. Do we know who?
Yeah, I wrote that. I was trying to see if Ron could actually write in the chat window and then maybe we could keep the meeting going, but then he disconnected.
Yeah,
It looks like Ron's on, or Russ is on.
There are 3 listeners right now.
4211. That's who I just texted that to Russ. That's his number.
All right. I'll keep my ear on my front door.
Now he's muted.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Great.
Thank you, Russ. I'll tell you what, Ron may be on his way to my house, and if that's the case, I'm going to let him in the door. But in the meantime, I think we ought to give Ron a minute or two to show up, Russ, because of his familiarity being slightly greater than yours, and I don't want to put you on the spot with these items. So if you could, Russ, if you could stand by.
I think I heard Russ, but I could hear something, but I couldn't hear him. Could you guys?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah,
There
I'm
you
here.
are. Okay.
Yeah.
Loud and clear, Russ. Thank you. Just hang on. We're going to give Ron a minute or two to show up. If that's the case, we'll turn you loose, but we'll just see. I'm going to leave the screen for just a moment.
I've been doing this meetings before, Walt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
I got you here.
Pull up a chair. We've got Ron Stone in person here. So we're going to share a screen.
Gee. Sorry, everyone. I started this at 10 to 8.
Move on in here, Ron. Get yourself in that camera. So, Mr. Adams, you are now off the hook. You can turn that off.
Okay, Ron.
Thanks, Russ.
All right, no problem. Anytime.
Just yourself turn it off and disconnect. Done. Are you done? All right. So we're good to go here.
Good morning.
So, Mr. Stone, welcome.
The air was blue at my house.
Okay. All right. So right now we are at the consent calendar point of the agenda. And the basic protocol that we're going to do with this is, do you have any thoughts, comments, questions about any of the consent items here?
I reviewed that yesterday, and at this point in time, I do not.
Okay.
Then in that case,
Out of 10.
Just to bring Ron up to speed, Ward had,
yeah, I was just going to say, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent calendar with the modifications designated by Ward Sidmans on whichever that article was.
Policy 5.3.
Policy 5.3, which instead of pointing at the Eastern Sierra Community or at the community district's resolution, that it actually points to the JPA formation documents.
perfect. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'd be happy to second.
Have a motion. Would you please poll the board, Michelle?
Board Member Stone,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Mahovey,
Yes.
Chairman Pachuki,
Yes.
motion to approve with the correction as noted.
Thank you very much. And by the way, at this point, I'd also like to thank Destin for his staff reports on each one of the resolutions. Those staff reports were spot on. So Destin, thank you very much for your work.
No, actually, the staff reports on those were from Ward.
Oh,
Give him the credit. I can't take credit for him.
It's a team effort.
Yeah, we went back and forth, but Ward did the hard work.
Ward, thank you also. There obviously had to be joint input for that to be so well written. Thank you very much. So moving past that, we are now in new business. First item is Destin Deschamps. Go ahead, Destin.
So this is mostly housekeeping. Ward and I spoke about it several times. Early on, the BAWA board actually named Jennifer Kraftcheck as the secretary/board clerk. And so just for cleanup, we thought that we should start right off with naming Michelle Rue into that position and make it formal. So I guess from there, we just take a vote of the board members and formalize Michelle as the clerk or secretary, I'm sorry.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Michelle, would you please poll the board?
Board Member Stone,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Mahovey,
Yes.
Chairman Pachuki,
Yes.
motion approved.
I guess we didn't really ask Michelle if Michelle was willing to do it.
I did. I promise I did.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Michelle.
Yeah, I really want to say thank you because it is nice, her and I being right here in the same office, putting this agenda together and a ton of work with Ward. And so it worked well, though, I feel like.
It did. Michelle, this packet was 159 pages long. How much time did it take to put it together?
probably altogether about 7 hours almost.
Wow.
A lot of effort. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next item is a resolution, and I'll take the lead on this one. In the past, either as a board or as an ad hoc committee prior to the formation of the Joint Powers Authority, we had discussed what would happen when Los Angeles Department of Water and Power transferred lands to us that would enable our wastewater treatment effluent to be discharged. And with regard to the existing lessees, and the discussion was held, and all members of the board or the ad hoc committee were in agreement that we want to enable the existing land users to continue as much as we are allowed to under codes or laws once the joint powers takes on those lands. And we don't want to interfere with the livelihoods of the existing lessees on those lands. There's no guarantee that future boards have to maintain that position. So there's a resolution in the packet with regard to that, and it essentially states that the authority will make every effort to work with land users and continue the type of land use with the existing land users as much as possible. And Ward, did I summarize that resolution fairly well? By the way, I did work with Ward and Paula on drafting the resolution, and Ward did that. So Ward, did I succinctly summarize that?
That's correct. You did.
Okay. So at this time, what I'd like to do is ask if there are any questions or further discussion. And then following that, we can have a motion to approve the resolution if acceptable.
So my only concern is that does this in any way tie our hands and not give us leeway should some, I don't know, some other event in the future come about and now we're like tied that we have to go a particular route for the land use as opposed to a different one?
Stephen, that's a very good question. And Ward and Paula and I addressed it when we discussed the concept. And I'll let Ward be the final authority on this, but it's my understanding that the way the resolution is drafted, it does not tie our hands or any future boards with regard to specifics. There's freedom and flexibility stated in that resolution. Is that correct, Ward?
Yes, that's correct. We were trying to write it, Director Mohove, that in a way in which we're trying to express our intent, the board's intention without tying the hands. We have, you can read in there some caveats when it comes to, we haven't even looked at the way the leases are. We don't know what the future leases say yet. We don't even know whether or not the land is going to be transferred to BAWA from the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. So with all these variables up in the air, we're saying our intent is to move in this direction, but depending on what happens as we go down that road, we may not. So we felt like we left the door open wide enough so that we're hoping to give some sort of comfort to LADWP so that they can go to the lessees with this resolution and say, hey, this is their intent. Would you work with us as we transfer this land to BAWA? But yet it still leaves the door open that should maybe the lessees come to BAWA and say, we want $3 million a year for this new lease. Well, that negotiation is not going to work out. So we're not tied to that.
Okay, and I guess the other question I have is, does such a resolution, will that actually assist with the negotiations with DWP?
Stephen, that's another good question. What triggered this resolution in my mind early on was that we had it from, we had heard from both lessees that there was a lot of anxiety with regard to the fact that they were using that land and would it just be pulled out from under them as soon as it was transferred from DWP to BAWA. So this is an attempt to reduce, if possible, some of their anxiety. Send them the message. We have put on record our intent to continue to work with the existing land users. It is not our intent to just take the land and kick them off. And
Sure. And so I guess if the intent is just to make it known that this is what we're planning to do, and the law is written, the resolution, i.e. law, is written in such a way that it's pretty vague in that regard. I mean, does it actually have to be a resolution? Can it just be a proclamation?
Ward?
We had chosen a resolution, but there's nothing to say it couldn't. We started off, with one of our previous meetings, making it just a verbal. But the President Pachuki didn't think that was sufficient, so we went to the resolution route. We could choose, a proclamation or maybe just writing a letter that so that we could discuss that, how the board wishes to approach that. We had proposed a resolution, but that's not to say it couldn't be in a different form.
I mean, I guess yeah. I mean, the only thing that's kind of odd is that we're setting up this through a legal framework we're setting up a law that's just very vague, and yeah.
And Stephen, I appreciate that. Knowing the parties as I do, and Justin might jump in here a bit too. He knows the parties. I believe that a resolution would be perceived by them to be something that we put on record that has maybe a little more strength, at least the perception of strength, than a proclamation. They would recognize if they read the resolution, and they'll be told verbally that it really isn't a binding statement. So that's just a little background on how it got to be a resolution.
Sure.
Kind of a good faith measure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, I don't have any issues with telling the leasees that we're approaching this in good faith and all of that stuff. I just want to make sure that we don't tie our hands and get locked into something that, I don't know, maybe later on we find out like, oh, we need to do something more invasive because of like water contamination, and then, oh, but now we have these leases, we can't do anything. And so I just want to make sure we don't tie our hands in that regard. And if Ward, you are confident that this doesn't do that, then I think I'm okay with it.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm confident too. After working with Ward and Paula, Stephen, I'm confident also. So, well, that being further questions, Dustin?
Just one thing I think I might say is it's whether resolution, proclamation, whatever this is, I think the biggest hangup is DWP has yet to make any contact with those lessees.
Right.
And I think this is a little bit driven by DWP, in my mind, more than anything, because for whatever reason, they don't want to have that conversation. And I just met last week with the DWP guy that's kind of got dropped in his lap to take care of this. And I think they're anxious to see something like this. Now, I guess with that being said, I have one question for Ward, and I've heard it being said before that a resolution that's signed by the current board isn't anything once the board possibly changes, but with the city of Bishop, we do a resolution, it's like forever unless it's revoked, or not revoked, but taken back. Is that true, Ward, that once we do a resolution, until somebody changes it, it's active?
Yeah, it's going to be active, Destin, but again, it has enough wiggle room that we've stuck in there, based on, it's just, again, it's a statement of our intent. It's a statement of, conditioned on negotiations. It has enough conditions and ifs, ands, or buts in there that we feel like it's not necessarily binding a future board. So, I mean, I think that there will be enough wiggle room. I don't want to, then open the door to continuing to have the lessees worry about what we're going to do. We're just trying to express our intent, but without, nailing it down. And so we have a lot of variables to work through, and depending on those variables, this resolution will continue to be valid, but it is just basically a statement of intent.
And I agree totally, Ward. It was very well written. There's nothing binding in anything in it. So believe me, you sent it to me once, and I agree.
Okay.
And I mean, I guess if I understand more of the intent, it's DWP doesn't want to approach the lessees as they're looking to sell the land, and so they don't want to talk at all to them and like deal with them at all in this regard. And in principle, they could be kind of a thorn in DWP's side in the whole land deal. And so we're trying to just smooth things over so that there's not this perception that we're just coming in and taking things, and that we are working with them, and this is an avenue to do it. Is that a good summary?
Yes.
Very good, Stephen. And I guess where I saw it, you certainly are familiar with the level of trust between DWP and lessees in the valley and where that's at. And those lessees now are saying, okay, if it's not going to be DWP we're going to deal with, but BAWA, are we going to have the same kind of trust situation? And my intent was to send a message right now saying, look, this is the best we can do. This is the best statement we can make, but we want you to understand, we want to work with you, we want to collaborate, and we want to establish a good relationship. So that this is that intent, and it gives DWP something to get the fuse a little further from the flame.
Sure.
Into the lessees.
Okay.
Yep. So, questions, comments? Do we have a motion?
Was that a motion that I heard from Ron, or no?
We thought that maybe you had started to make a motion earlier. We weren't sure, Stephen, so we're going to let you continue.
Oh, sure. I will. Where did it go? I have to scroll all the way to the top. All right. I will make a motion that we approve a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Bishop Area Wastewater Authority providing guidance to staff concerning certain properties owned by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power.
Resolution, do we have a second? Second. Board Member Stone, seconds. Michelle, would you please pull the board?
Michelle, I didn't even say by title, so you didn't have to read it all.
Board Member Stone?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Mahoney?
Yes.
Chairman Pachuki?
Yes. Thank you,
Motion
Michelle.
approved.
Oh, very good discussion. Stephen, I hope you have a little more confidence or a little more comfort with the resolution now, particularly its intent and its reason. Okay. Then moving on to next new business item C, Administrative Services Agreement. Ward.
Okay, this kind of, we didn't have a staff report for this. I apologize for that, but we were negotiating on it really until Thursday or Friday of last week. And so we're bringing to the BAWA board an administrative services agreement, which is a contract between BAWA and the city of Bishop. And basically, you can look at section 3 of this agreement, which says that the authority is appointing the city to act as the administrator of BAWA and also to provide any other administrative services that BAWA would need. And the cost of that is talked about in 7A. The quarterly service fee shall be at $5,000. And then there's other expenses that can be adjusted in there. So this is the agreement. We've looked at it. In fact, we first drafted it, and then the city attorney has looked at it. There is one sentence that I wanted to bring everybody's attention to that we weren't able to agree on, and we wanted to ask the board for direction. And the one sentence is the last sentence in section 2 of the agreement. The agreement is supposed to, let me just summarize the term. It'll commence on the effective date and shall have a 5-year term. The term shall automatically renew for 5 years unless and until terminated by either party, either the district or the city. Either the authority or the city. And the agreement may be terminated at any time by either party by giving the other party 6 months written notice. Now, this last sentence is one that was proposed by the city attorney. Notwithstanding the foregoing, in the event that either party in its sole and absolute discretion identifies a conflict of interest arising from or related to this agreement, the party may terminate this agreement upon 24 hours written notice. In truth, that gives me a little heartburn because I fear that leaving BAWA without an administrator within a 24-hour notice won't give BAWA enough time to find a new administrator. That's why we had actually put the previous sentence in there to give us 6 months notice. So one thought is that maybe rather than terminating on 24 hours notice, we might try to, if there is some sort of conflict that arises, maybe we provide a mechanism for a meet and confer to try to work out what these conflicts are. But we just didn't want to leave BAWA without an administrator with just 24 hours notice. So with that introduction, I wanted to open it up to the board for discussion. Dustin, did you have any other thing that you'd like to add to that?
And I might just add a little bit of Dean's thinking. He's a city attorney. You know, he was definitely looking out which he should be for the city. But it kind of, in my mind, was thinking that, you know, if there's a conflict of interest is mostly what he's concerned about. It seems to me that a board made of 4, 2 from the city would be able to resolve that conflict, you know, or the city wouldn't allow, the board wouldn't allow for that type of whatever that action might be to even happen. So, you know, Dean definitely said he was, you know, he could live with something less, but he wanted to make that comment known and let it be discussed amongst the board.
So I guess my question, when we're talking about conflict of interest here, we're talking about in particular, let's say the administrator is getting some personal financial gain from actions that he's taking on behalf of the board. Those are the kind of things we're talking about, right?
I personally, you know, that was never in the conversation, you know, and that's what I thought it meant too. But he was more concerned about something that maybe would be a conflict. Is Destin going to make a decision on the BAWA board or help form decisions in the BAWA board that would not be beneficial to the city or vice versa? And it seemed a little, you know, it seemed like our board, our 2 members of the city of Bishop City Council would be able to resolve that without putting me in that conflict of trying to protect the city and not looking after the BAWA anymore.
Sure. I mean, because I guess, yeah, the other conflict of interest that I was talking about, it's already covered in our conflict of interest disclosures and all of those things, right?
Yes.
So,
Correct.
I think
So-
Dean or Destin, didn't Dean mention in his email something about how the city is normally the one who's providing direction and giving orders? And in this case, we've got a different authority giving direction potentially to the city. Was there some sort of concern that there was that's not normally the way the city works? And so this language kind of came from that type of this structure, this arrangement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. But it definitely, what you're saying is right, that Destin could be taking direction from the BAWA board that would be detrimental to the city of Bishop, or vice versa.
right.
And if we got in that position, he thinks that we should be able to sever that agreement if it would get there. I still, again, feel that needing 2 votes or 3 votes to pass anything, if it's detrimental to the city or detrimental to the Eastern Sierra Board, we're not going to pass it.
Yeah.
That's how I think it kind of works. I mean, yeah, there should be, I mean, it is, well, I don't know, you could have a rogue council member that is like completely at odds with the rest of the council, and who knows how that would happen, but it could happen. So, I mean, there could be a mechanism, but then at the same time, the other council members could just kick that person off the board.
Exactly.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So I guess what I'd like to propose maybe is that we change, rather than terminating the agreement upon 24 hours written notice, maybe we enter into some sort of a meet and confer process with the final decision to be made by the BAWA Board of Directors.
Sure. I mean, I'm comfortable with that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too, I mean, whenever you get rid of any, you sever these sorts of agreements with the director, you typically appoint an interim as you're doing that. But this is, but that's typically the board that is getting rid of this. And in this case, you're having one of the entities get rid of the administrator. And so I agree with your point about meeting and conferring, as opposed to just being left in the lurch. Yeah.
Very good.
I agree also. So, Ward, do you need motion?
Just a motion and a second, and then a vote would be fine.
All right. I guess I can make a motion to approve the execution of the administrative services agreement with the modifications to the particular section about the 24-hour, about the conflict of interest.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Michelle, would you please poll the board?
Board Member Stone,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Mahoby,
Yes.
Chairman Pachuki,
Yes.
motion approved with the modifications discussed.
Thank you. Thank you. We can move on to the next item, consultant procurement to complete Title 22 engineering report. Destin, you're the lead on this.
All right, so I guess a little bit of background. With the formation of the BAWA came the process of obtaining necessary permits from state agencies. One of these permits would be a water reclamation requirement, or a WRR. To apply for this WRR, we must first complete a Title 22 engineering report. And the report is quite technical and time consuming. Procuring a consultant would be the most efficient way to complete the report. And so just a little bit more into that, I met a couple of weeks ago with via Zoom with the Department of Drinking Water, as well as Lahontan, the wastewater side. we currently, we do not have, but the Tatum family has a water reclamation requirement permit down there on everything but the 40 acres that the city of Bishop owns. It's a little bit different because water reclamation, we're just reusing water that we have no control over the processing of the water, the water quality. We're just spreading this water. So it's a permit to allow us to spread water. So somebody else's reclaimed water onto the Bawa property. I think honestly that the permit process is going to be fairly straightforward. I spoke with, they put me in touch with Crestline Sanitation District. They are one of the most recent WRRs that were completed. They're using their water for dust control along a new highway or a widened highway on the shoulders. They put me in touch with their engineering firm, Dudek. I had a quick conversation with them about their ability to do it and kind of just getting a ballpark cost. That particular permit was engineering report was $70,000. That led me to make another phone call to Jonathan Lesperance, who is now with Lumos. He worked for a long time for R.O. Anderson, who did a number of technical reports as well as a plant redesign for the district. We've worked successfully with him a number of times now. After talking with Jonathan, I felt a lot better. He also just completed one and submitted, has not been reviewed yet, but one for Big Pine has a reclaimed water project going on. Jonathan's number was, a high range of 25. He said could be as low as 10,000. He's also very willing to sit down on the phone or a Zoom meeting with myself and Department of Drinking Water folks and go ahead and get a good scope put together. And that price will become more obvious at that point. So today what I wanted to do is just bring this to your attention. It'll also be reflected in the budget, but I'm asking for the board to give me direction to work with Lumos and try to develop a scope, a time frame, and a cost. Once we were at that point, I would assume that we could have a quick special meeting with that being the only thing on the agenda, hopefully, for the board to approve a contract and get him working on this Title 22 report. Another thing driving it is, again, Lahontan has this time frame that they set up for them in their own minds of April of 2022. That timeline was built around us having this completed in November, which there's no way we could do that. I think I've talked with Lahontan a little bit and I said, it would probably be middle of February if everything happened and we were able to just follow through the process and get it going quickly. That still may be a little bit aggressive. And then it's all based on Department of Drinking Water's review time frame. Maybe they're a little bit busy for it, but I just wanted to bring this up now and ask for authority to go ahead and start working that out ahead of time since we don't have another meeting until January.
Destin, you've certainly got the go-ahead from me. You and I have talked about this before, and I've been involved in the process you just described. To some extent, you've been the lead. You certainly have the go-ahead from me. Ron and Stephen, jump in.
Seems to me you've covered the necessary tracks and talked to the right people, and I see no reason to hold you back. I'd say let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I think not going the more expensive route is definitely the practical thing to do. So yeah.
I agree. And that difference in money, the other one may have been much more technical. I think, Jonathan's familiar with us. And probably the reason he can keep the cost down is he's done so much work for us. He already knows plant parameters. He has everything kind of in his back pocket that somebody else starting from scratch doesn't even know what we do up here. Jonathan was also really active in a study a number of years ago about increasing our irrigation. So he has a very good feel of what we're doing right already.
Exactly. All right, Destin, have you got everything you need to move forward from us?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll probably be calling him today and start working this out. And Lawton, believe it or not, they wanted me to call him back by noon today and tell him what we decided.
Listen, they're off. I don't want to go there right now. Okay, Destin, thank you very much for handling that item for us. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
If no further discussion on that, we'll move on to the fiscal year 2021 interim budget. And once again, Destin, you're the guy here.
So again, here's our budget. A month ago, I think or so, I brought a proposed budget to you that we need to have approved by this Friday. It's actually the same exact numbers, except for adding in the up to $25,000 for the Title 22 permit. Other than that, nothing changed on there. I still think we're high on the insurance, but we'll be able to, obviously when the bill comes due, we'll make that payment. The total budget now is up to $129,243.
So, I mean, we took this budget to the city council of the city of Bishop. They were okay with it. I mean, yes, there's the extra charge for the permit, but I mean, we should be fine with this budget at the city.
And we're good from the district perspective.
One thing that comes up, I guess, is we're going to start writing checks. And right now the city's writing them, billing the district for half, which works fine. But I guess at some point, and it should have been an agenda item, I don't know, but I believe we need to probably look at setting up an account for the BAWA. I don't know if do we need to wait for have an agendized item, or can finance city?
Now that we've approved bylaws, you can do that. I think until you actually approve, you have bylaws that you couldn't actually do it.
Makes sense.
I think you can now that we passed. I agree. Now that you passed the bylaws, I think you can go ahead and proceed to set up the accounts for BAWA.
Okay, I'll talk with Ron and Jenny, and we'll make arrangements to see how that looks.
Okay. Ward, would setting up those accounts require board action or approval?
I guess we're going to have to figure out who ends up being the signatory on the account. So, maybe when we come back with Title 22, maybe that would be something, Destin, we want to, add to that agenda.
No, that makes sense for sure. We could just do that do that agreement and figure out signatories.
Yeah.
Don't think of any more stuff.
Right.
All right.
Miscellaneous.
So Destin, we're still going to need a approval of the budget, I would expect. We haven't quite.
Correct.
So do we have a motion to approve the budget as submitted?
I would be happy to make that motion that we approve the budget as submitted.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Michelle, would you please poll the board?
Board member,
Yes, aye.
Vice Chairman Mahovey,
Yes.
Chairman Pachuki,
Yes, thank you.
motion approved.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, Destin, for developing interim budget. Staff and board reports. Anything specific from any board members or staff?
No, I'm just curious as to how we can start getting a sense from DWP of like land transfer, how much they're going to charge us, what we need to start raising, all of that good stuff.
So I had a discussion, like I said, with Todd Thornburg from the real estate office last week. It was fairly positive because he started off with all of our staff has been taking new jobs or promoted into other positions. Some people left, and I went, uh-oh. But he said that his sole job right now is just this. Oh, cool. He's working solely trying to get this deal done. You know, again, that'll be a couple of years, but I'm with you, Stephen. I would like to know at some point, where is the price tag starting at? That's a big one right there. And, you know, Clarence is gone. He always said 1,000 or 2,000 an acre, but that
was Clarence. And we've already talked about the trust everybody has with DWP.
Right.
But it'll at least I know somebody is working on it.
Yeah. I guess one other question that I would have is, now that we've approved a budget and pushed forth and all of this, do we have a sense of what are grants that we could apply for all of these purposes, for the DWP purchase, for the capital improvement fund, et cetera, et cetera?
Go ahead, Walt.
I've worked on that a little bit, Stephen, through initially through IRWIMP. I talked to Holly Alpert, and she'd like a little more information about the project that we're proposing for irrigation. And the ball's in my court to get her a project description, which I haven't completed yet. I'll get to her. I mentioned purchase of the land, and she said that was an interesting question. She hadn't encountered grant funding for that purpose, but she didn't know of any showstoppers yet. So she can pursue that for us. But I do have some more work to do there, and there's a lot of work being done right now through NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service, with regard to the irrigation system out there. And Destin, again, is the lead with NRCS. And if everything goes as the early indications are, working with NRCS could save BAWA substantial costs related to that project. So yes, I think, Stephen, at least from my perspective, external funding is being pursued in a number of ways. And I'll turn it over to Destin and get his input.
Yeah, I was mostly, and Walt touched on it, the NRCS stuff. We had a real positive visit with 3 of their engineers from around the Western United States that showed up, kind of evaluating the project, whether it was a good project or worthy of their funding. They were actually really excited about it. I've already been feeding them a ton of information. They're working on it really as we speak. So, but it doesn't sound like, I doubt they have money for land purchase, but just, you know, we're talking potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars that we could end up saving or gaining from them. I will say that, you know, they can come up with the design, and they actually was nice to see an irrigation designer that thinks about nutrients and wastewater with his design. But it was also, you could tell that the magnitude of the project was big to them, a lot of money. So they probably would look at phases of even on the current discharge area, that it would be phased and built, but the entire design would be done as one. So it was a great meeting, actually. Now it's just on me to keep filling out forms for them.
Cool.
Okay. Ron Phillips, do you have anything from your perspective that you want to join in on?
Thank you, Walt. No, I think everything's proceeding well and we appreciate the effort.
Well, thank you, Ron, for enabling city staff to, particularly Michelle, to join in with BAWA and support us there. We really appreciate that.
Glad to do it.
I wanted to just mention one more thing, and I know Ward's obviously getting paid for his effort, but thank you, Ward. There was a lot of stuff we were cramming through there to get done. I didn't even imagine there was that many things that we could do. I'm glad you've done it before.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Ward. Since we've got you on the spot, Ward, is there anything you need to add at this this juncture of the meeting?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Michelle, that just leaves you. Anything from your perspective you want to join in on?
No, nope. Maybe a smaller agenda next time.
Not 159 pager. Okay. Ward and Destin, we're going to blame you guys for that one. So tone it down next time, would you?
Order received.
Yes, got it.
Just wait until we get a contract from DWP.
Oh, yeah.
The 159,000 pages.
Exactly. 159 will seem like just an hour's reading compared to that. But I hear it'll be good for insomnia.
All right. I have nothing further other than to thank Destin, and then we'll turn it over to Ron. Destin, thank you for all the effort you've been putting in. I appreciate it. I don't know how you can juggle everything you got going on, but it's much appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My apologies to each of you. This will not happen again. Difficulties. I've had many board meetings with the district and another BAWA meeting. Today was a train wreck. It won't happen again. My apologies.
All right.
No worries, dude.
I was just glad you could get on so we could get this done today.
I'm going to submit a mileage rebate.
All right.
Anyway.
If there's no further business to be brought before the board, our next scheduled meeting will be January 19th, 2021, 8 o'clock in the morning. We're hoping to be in city council chambers. If not, we'll continue to do the meetings via Zoom. No further business before the board. We can adjourn at this time.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great one.
Yeah.